we are so happy to have you on with us today because this show is just keeps growing and growing, and now people can see in theaters every single episode. It's on every streaming platform and all kinds of languages. It must just blow your mind just kind of when you hear about each accomplishment that happens, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
every day, right?
totally.
We get new things. It's yeah, we had no
Yeah.
idea.
Every time our expectation is here, and then it's like 100 times more than that, and then every season it's like that all over again. So and this season too, I was like, all right, so we're gonna have how much bigger is it gonna be than last year? And then every episode, like the whole season having a theatrical release, kind of an unprecedented thing for any show. And the show starts from a crowd-funded thing that's, like, quietly on the internet. It's insane. It's really quite a thing to witness and be a
Yeah,
part of.
yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, you got to visit, I believe, our great state of Texas here for some filming, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the city set that we have there is just phenomenal. So
Mhm.
beautiful.
I
Yeah,
know
we
I've
were
been
all
all
over
over.
too.
Yeah, I've been all around the area, and I can't imagine that they would film something like that here. But hey, they did it, and they pulled it off well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, that's great.
There's
Well, obviously the scale is really, really huge. I mean, just the amount of extras on the set, and the amount of just production that goes into this thing. When you're looking around, it must be kind of like, when you're thinking when you're a kid and going, like, I want to do something like this. And then you get there. It's got to trigger not only some great memories, but you probably making some new great ones. So is there something you thought about or, from childhood about watching this kind of stuff? Or is there something that you think you'll always take with you from being on the set?
I mean, I still
yeah.
pinch myself that I get to do it as a job. I don't take a moment of it for granted. It is so amazing. And, you definitely have hard days and very long hours. It can be physically demanding away from your family, but still I'm on set just going like, really? Really?
Yeah, totally, totally. I think we all regress. We regress to childhood when we're on set, because first of all, like most of the real hard work of acting is really when you're not acting and you're like struggling for a job. And then when you finally got one, it's like that's when you can relax and enjoy it. And we all got into it for, like you said, like in our childhood, we had these stars in our eyes about what this would be. And it's such an interesting thing about thinking about watching these huge scenes like unfold on the screen versus experiencing them and seeing the behind the scenes and behind the set of the kind of community and village it takes to put something that like that up, and you're a part of this community, you're part of this like artistic world. um it's just such a beautiful manifestation of a dream, I guess, you
Hmm.
know
Well, and of course now, people are looking at you, and there's all kinds of people that even don't even get to go to the movies or watch TV all the time that are watching this thing, and they're finding inspiration from it. And I think we're going to see some really cool stuff coming up. But what advice do each of you have to someone that's looking up at that screen, looking at you guys and going, all right, that's what I want to do?
We think, David.
Amy? Oh, I was gonna pass it to you. um
It's
I- it's
you have to love it.
yeah.
You really have to love it because like David said, the hardest part is feeling like you're never going to work, you're never going to get on a good project, you're never going to, and even when you do get on a good project, there's always that like it could get canceled or they might, write you out of the script or like there are 100 things that could go wrong. So the only way you should ever pursue it and stay in it is because it really fulfills your soul. And also the second thing I would say is like there's no room for ego. So I did background extra work at one time. I did done tiny crappy little theater gigs everywhere. So do it all, learn it all, work in casting, run people coffee, do whatever you can, be involved, and then that expands your knowledge of the whole industry.
Yeah, I definitely, that articulates it well. There's a lot of it is like you do need to humble yourself and any part that kind of comes your way to just do it and do it the best you can. and realize that that's 50% of your work, because the other 50% is just looking for that work that you have the opportunity to do that on. So yeah, so it's a combination of, if you enjoy looking for work, acting's the thing for you.
You enjoy really, really putting out your heart and soul and then be told, nah, not
Yeah,
you. Nah.
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
compare it to surfing because it's just like most of the time you're just sitting out there with no waves and it's just nothing happening. But then you get that one wave and you're like, surfing's the best. I'm going to do this for
yeah,
the rest of my life for a job.
totally. Yeah, exactly. It's also
Yeah.
weird because when you're going for a job as something else, they're like, all right, I don't have the skills, I don't have the thing, I'm not the person they're looking for. But when they reject you as an actor, you feel like they're rejecting you. That something's wrong with you, and now you carry that with like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then when you get this great job, you're like, I'm okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
right.
Well, you might be familiar with my co-host Drew Pearson, legendary NFL player, went in the Hall of Fame, caught the Hail Mary. We all know the Hail Mary term now, and so he wanted me to make sure that I asked both of you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for each of you?
Oh gosh, I can tell you mine right now. Because
Mhm.
I used to be a classical ballet dancer, and then somehow, out of sheer ignorance and blissful ignorance, I decided I wanted to do musical theater. So I rocked up to a big, well, West End production, which is like Broadway equivalent in London, to the producers, which Mel Brooks was there. It was like the real thing, like the real thing. And I don't know what kind of dumbness was happening, but I was just like, rocked up in there, couldn't tap, and we had to, everybody was doing time steps, and I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't tap, and I've never sung, but I got the part. So someone was praying for me. Either they were all drinking that day or something, but that was a Hail Mary. I still don't know how that happened, but that gave me my theater career. Yeah.
Love
So
it, David.
Wow. Um, I uh I don't know. This is a really difficult question. I mean, a moment that has those comparable feelings is probably when I moved to New York and I got accepted into a school there. It's called the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute.
Yeah.
And I was not sure if it would happen. And the moment I found out that I was in, it really changed my life. First of all, I went from being this, Canadian kid to like a New Yorker, which already was like so cool. And I, lived in this great place, and I was in a community where everyone loved the act of pretending and revered it. And what a weird thing to revere, that you're just, the kind of thing that you did when you were like 5 years old. It's like all these people are like, no, we're going to do this, but do this really seriously. And I just love that attitude. And the teachers I had there, 90% of them were amazing. And it really started me on a path that I'd kind of started in Vancouver under another like method acting teacher. And then his name was Asen, and he really brought me into like the Eastern European view of acting, which was just a really rich tradition. And so all these things kind of came together to be like, this feels like the right path, and would help me with all the like dry spells, or would help me with when it was difficult. And you have to kind of ping back to those initial moments where there was really like some spark that was like, you should do this, because you're gonna have moments afterwards that are like, what you have I have maybe have no business here at all. So it's a very there's a lot of emotions going. And I think that's, to go back to the question you did before, it's like you have to be okay with just having a roller coaster of emotions on like a weekly basis. And
Mhm.
most
Yeah.
of us do.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
totally true. Well, I love those wonderful answers. I know we got to let you guys go, but thank you so much for being with us today. We're gonna tell everyone to check out the show. It's so special, and we look forward to talking to you even more about it a little bit later. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paul. It's great to meet you.